In this module, we will discuss what are the different types of receptors which cell uses for the transduction of the signal from one cell to another. Now, one thing we should keep in mind that the receptor, they bind their signaling molecule with high affinity and translate this intersection at the outer surface of the cell. The thing is that the cell communicate by producing different types of high affinity molecules. High affinity molecules, that these are those molecules which have very high affinity, very high likeness for the receptor, and those receptors, they are developed on the outer surface of the cell, and that cell changes take place on the inside of the cell. That from the outer surface, they receive the signal and then make the changes in the cell appropriately. Now, the one type of the receptors which are very important, that is the G protein coupled receptors, that is GPCRs. That is the abbreviated form. Now, G protein coupled receptors, GPRS, they are a huge families of receptor that contain 7 transmembrane helix. There are 7 transmembrane helix which are involved in the GPCRs. And these receptors actually they translate the binding of the extracellular signaling molecules into the activation of GTP binding protein. Now remember, all this signal transduction that is carried out by the binding proteins. Proteins जो हैं वो इसमें बड़ा important role play करती हैं to carry out the signal from one cell to another cell, and there are 7 of these which are involved. The one is the protein-tyrosine kinase. Now, these receptor protein-tyrosine kinase, RTKS, what they do, they represent a second class of receptor that have evolved to translate the presence of extracellular messenger molecules into change inside the cell. ये जो हैं सेल के बाहर जो हैं ये रिसीव करती हैं सिग्नल, and then they carry out those signals inside the cell and make the necessary change into this. And that is known as the protein-tyrosine kinase, RTKS. Now, what are the kinases? We will discuss further that RTC binding is a specific extracellular ligand on the RTK, which is usually result in the receptor dimerization. Dimerization means that there are 2 dimers and different dimer, different molecules, they are produced, and that is followed by the activation of the receptors protein kinase. Remember, whenever there is a kinase, it's activated by the ATP and the kinase domain which is present within the cytoplasm region. सेल के जो cytoplasm region हैं उनमें ये kinase जो हैं ये present होती हैं. Now, in this figure, that has been shown that how the protein kinases, they activate and then they become inactive, active and inactive, and eventually they go to the DNA translation and further to the messenger RNA translation where the gene or all the other things that is the carried out. Protein kinases and protein phosphatases whose catalase action changes the conformation and modify activity of the protein. Remember, previously we discussed the dimerization. So that is it, that these kinases, they change एंड कैटालाइज, उनको कैटलिस्ट के तौर पे वो एक्शन करती हैं एंड वो दे चेंज द कन्फर्मेशन चेंजेस, सेल का जो कन्फर्मेशन चेंजेस है, उसका जो स्ट्रक्चर है, दैट दे चेंज एंड दे मॉडिफाई एंड एक्टिवेट द प्रोटीन विच आर present there. Now, they are ligand gated channels. In the cell, there are the channels, which are the ligand gated, and these ligand gated channels, they represent a third class of cell surface. Cell surface के ऊपर जो receptor होते हैं, वो they bind the extracellular, सेल के बाहर जो लाइगेंड हैं, जो मॉलिक्यूल्स हैं, उनके साथ वो बाइंड हो जाते हैं. एंड द एबिलिटी ऑफ दीज प्रोटीन टू कंडक्ट ए फ्लो ऑफ आयंस अक्रॉस द प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन इज रेगुलेटेड डायरेक्टली बाय द लाइगेंड बैडेड. असल में एक और रेगुलेशन जो है वो क्या होता है, दैट इज द लाइगेंड जो हैं वो प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन के अंदर जाने की जो चैनल्स हैं उनको वो रेगुलेट करते हैं. द एबिलिटी, ये प्रोटीन्स जो हैं ये इनकी कैपेबिलिटी है, इनकी खसूसियत है. नो अनदर वन दैट इज द स्टीरॉयड हार्मोन रिसेप्टर्स. द स्टीरॉयड हार्मोन रिसेप्टर्स आर very important, and these hormone binding, they result again in the conformation changes that causes the hormone receptor complex to move into the nucleus and bind to the element present in the promoters or enhancer of the hormone responsive genes. Because most of the steroids जो हैं ये इधर एक्ट करते हैं, एंड दीज एक्शंस आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट द हार्मोन रिस्पॉन्सिव जीन्स जो हैं वो उनको काबू कर लेते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल हेयर यू सी व्हाट हैपन, वी हैव cortisol that is going inside the cell, cell membrane, cytoplasm, and then further it is a promoter that is the glucocortical. With that, it combines, goes into the nucleus membrane, further treats with the, combined with the DNA, and then to the RNA polymerase, और उससे फिर ये बाहर आके तो further protein जो translation है, protein synthesis है, that is there, protein molecules which are produced, which are, as a matter of fact, controlling the signaling of these things. Now, other types of receptors जो हैं वो कौन कौन से हैं? Finally, there are number of other types of receptor that act by a unique mechanism. हर receptor का एक बड़ा अनोखा और अछूता तरीक़ाकार है जिसके साथ वो काम करते हैं. And these, some of these receptors, for example, the B and T cell receptors, they are involved in the response to foreign एंटीजन, जो कि फॉरेन एंटीजन हैं, जब वो जिस्म में दाखिल होते हैं या सेल के करीब आते हैं तो बी एंड टी सेल्स दे एक्ट एंड दे एसोसिएट विद नोन सिग्नलिंग मॉलिक्यूल सच एज साइटोप्लाज्मिक प्रोटीन्स और द टायरोसिन काइनेजेस जो कि हमने पहले देखी हैं.